Hey beautiful mama, this is Chrissy Long from Blissful Birthing and I want to share with you Jane's story. Jane had two wildly different birth experiences, even though she had her babies in the same hospital, the same hospital policies, and she's the same woman. The first one left her unfortunately really deeply traumatised, and the second birth just left her feeling euphoric and invincible. But I'll let Jane tell you the story herself to explain what the difference was and where the magic lay.
My name's Jane. I have two boys who are 10 and 4, and I first met Chrissy here in Spain when her family were living here, and I met her after I'd had my first son, and I didn't have a very nice experience with my first birth. In fact, it was such a horrible experience for me that it put me off having another child, and that's why there's such a big age gap amongst other things between my boys. And so with my first, there's a couple of things that sort of stayed with me, and that was the fact that I gave birth to my son in the local hospital, and the whole time the midwives were, and because there were several of them, were giving me instructions, and I just didn't know what to do. I'd been to all of the classes that are meant to tell you what to do, and I just was completely lost. It was like, breathe, don't do that, you're making too much noise, push, don't push, you're not dilating. And I just kept thinking, oh my god, there's something wrong with me. I took 3 days to fully go into labour. They'd induced me and they couldn't understand why I wasn't dilating. They kept telling me I was panicking too much, that if I was making too much noise because I was in so much pain, and it just got to a point where I just didn't even want to give birth, and I couldn't get gas and air because they don't offer it in Spain, and when it came to me begging them to give me an epidural, they then told me that no one had picked up on the fact that I'd been having nosebleeds during my pregnancy, and that meant my platelets were really low and I wouldn't be able to have an epidural. And then that literally was like it for me. I just, if I could have crossed my legs and not given birth, that's what I would have done. And it was all just really traumatic, and I remember them giving me something just to let me sleep for a little bit, and I slept for half an hour, and then I woke up, and it was the only sort of respite that I'd had in 3 days, and I was like, oh my gosh, the baby's coming out. And I remember calling for the midwife, and my husband calling for the midwife, and her coming in and tutting and saying that I was so over the top, that there was no way my baby was coming. I wasn't even dilated before I'd gone to sleep. And she sort of strolls around the room, has a quick look and says, oh my god, the baby's there. And then suddenly the room started filling with doctors, and they were all saying, oh, she's never going to get this baby out, she's so tiny, her baby's so big. And it was just an awful experience. And I even found, like, when my baby was out, I was like, I don't even want to hold the baby right now. I've been through too much. So when I was pregnant with my second son, I spoke with Chrissy because I had heard about this Wonder Woman who was giving birth at home and to all of her children, and she was, having no drugs whatsoever, and she loved the experience. And I thought, well, she sounds crazy, but having known her by then and knowing what a wonderful person she was, I thought I've got to reach out to her. So I sat down with her and I said, Chrissy, I'm terrified. I'm terrified to give birth. I'm terrified of the whole experience, and I don't know what to do. And Chrissy was absolutely amazing. So without going into too much of exactly what she did for me, things that really stuck with me, definitely something that stuck with me was, she said, Jane, women give birth in comas. And that was like a light bulb moment for me, because I was like, how is that even possible? I couldn't give birth last time. How can a woman give birth in a coma? And she said they actually can. And I think right now in the situation we're in at the moment, we're seeing that there are people in comas right now giving birth. And that made me think, okay, so my body can do this and it doesn't even need me. And I thought, with all these instructions I was getting given, breathe, don't breathe, push, don't push, that it was all down to me. So that was massive for me. And then she put me just on the right path for everything. She gave me techniques to use whilst pregnant, techniques to use whilst I was in labour, before labour. And I mean, I can say that the experience was so different, not just for me, but it was for my entire family. So I again had a hospital birth. I didn't choose a home birth because it wasn't even an option for me. And the first thing I did was ask everybody to just leave me alone. I just wanted to be alone with my thoughts. Chrissy had shown me some techniques, and I am not a person who meditates. I'm a very hyperactive person. I don't rest very well, but she taught me all these techniques for calming myself. And she'd also talked to me about the importance of, for example, in my case, music, and how music could help me through. And so I literally had my earphones in and I was listening to music the whole time. And I can say, apart from the fact that it was pain-free, and I mean pain-free, there was a woman who came in, and she came in to check if I was going to get the epidural, which I begged for the first time. And she said to me, I'm not even going to bother asking you. She said, can you hear all the women around you? And I could hear them all, and they were all in the same state I had been. And she said, I've never in all my career seen someone this calm. And she said, are you even in pain? And I said to her, I'm honestly not. I'm honestly not in pain. I've got these funny twinges and everything else, but I'm okay. I'm fine. And again, it took me a really, really long time to dilate. And I remember the gynecologist coming in and saying, oh my God, you're not dilating. And I just said to him on Chrissy's advice, it's okay. I am in no rush to have this baby. This baby will come when this baby needs to come. And it helped so much. I gave birth in half an hour and pain-free. And I am absolutely indebted to Chrissy for that. So when she asked if I would do a testimonial on my experience, I jumped at it, because if I can help another woman get rid of her fear and have the birth experience that I had because of Chrissy, then that would be absolutely amazing.
So don't you think that's absolutely amazing? Jane's story clearly illustrates how the same women can give birth in the same setting, even if it is not necessarily ideal, in such a different way. The reason I say it's not ideal is because Jane experienced real trauma the first time she gave birth in that hospital. So it was incredibly brave of her to re-enter that scenario. Most women would do a complete 180 and give birth at home or in a different environment, but Jane couldn't, unfortunately, because of back issues she had. So she faced her demons head on. She went back into that environment, and she was able to just give birth in a euphoric, blissful way, because she was mentally and emotionally prepared for it. She even, got commended by the medical staff on how well she was doing. I mean, that is amazing. So hats off to Jane for facing her demons and having the most ecstatic, blissful birth that she could ever have imagined possible. If you'd like to hear more content like this, please do subscribe below and hit the bell button so that you know if there's any new videos coming out. And also feel free to leave your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.